Hello, this is Dogcesy. So today I'll be talking about what I keep thinking Mariana. uh, the near light event. So I'll be talking about this banner called Path of the Radiant, not Radiant, Radiant apparently. So yeah. So yeah, I'll be talking about this banner currently. So all five, like rate up operators, so including W and Osmontis, because I have never given my 2 cents about them before. So yeah, Osmontis is not considered crowd control. Okay, I guess so. But yeah, so I'll also be talking about W and Osmontis. So I'll be a bit more brief for for the first three operators because I don't have them, to be all honest. So I haven't played with them, and I also don't have much like personal experience from like the CN friends that I've heard, because the whale of the two of them that plays CN hasn't been playing as much as he used to. Nor has he been like now messaging much either as well, since he has been bogged down by some real life obligations per se. So probably so I probably won't be able to tell much from CN at least for some time. I'm not sure when he'll solve everything. Since he didn't tell me exactly what it was either. Just say that he had stuff to settle in real life. So yeah, so I don't exactly have much. So most of them would just be my like personal experience, and then the other guy also didn't get no. Yeah, got Flametail though, but same time Flametail is evasion based, so it's very hard to tell. I've heard she's quite bad, but without me actually like using her, I can't really quite tell. Especially since that friend of mine, that the ones left that play CN hates RNG, so he may be biased. So I can't really know how strong Flame Dew is until I personally get my hands on gets on her. It's a her, right? Yes, it's a her. Okay, good enough. So I can't really tell. So that's that, I guess. So I'll probably be quite brief on this tree. I'll talk more about W was Montes. So yeah. And as for another thing is that I'm not exactly sure how I want to handle the in-game stages, the event stages. Since when the event comes up, it will be near Labor Day and Hari Raya Puasa, which are public holidays, which I will need to work because my internship is retail, so I actually need to work during those days. So I'm not exactly sure whether I'll have any free time or not in for like probably the first week. I probably won't have any free most like barely any free time for the first week of the event. And even for the second week, I'll only have like 3 days to actually even properly record anything. And out of those 3 days, there's only be like 2 days where it'll be like properly off days. So that is something, I guess. I probably won't have time to like record me playing the event stages. It'll probably just be either auto deploys, or when next time when I'm free, I'll probably record me like playing the stages on the event page themselves. Like what I've been doing with some of the past events like the Granny and the Obsidian Festival stuff. So the Obsidian event, so I'll see how free I am and how motivated I am to record the event stages when the event does drop in like 2 days time. But yeah, so we'll see how, I guess. But yeah, so I'll be somewhat brief for the first three operators. So yeah, I guess I'll just move straight on get on to it. So the first operator is Nearl the Radiant Knight, or just Nearl Outer, up to you. Some people just call her NTR. If you don't know what acronym that is for, that the other acronym that one is for, good for you. But I know that's honestly kind of stupid, but yeah. And yeah, uh, my legs are getting numb. Guess I've been sitting for quite some time. Try to think how I want to format this. It's honestly just feels very weird. But yeah, anyway, since I don't have any like first-hand, I'm not hearing any first-hand experience from my friends. So yeah, and I think she looks kind of weird because her talent aren't exactly the most synergistic with her skills, if anything else. So yeah, I'll talk about the skills first, like, or talent. I'll talk about the talent now. So the first talent, where whenever she's deployed, she will immediately do 80% true damage based on her attack to enemies in the 4 adjacent tiles and stun them for the next 3 seconds. If the last deployed operator is a Kazimierz operator, like Graver, I guess, she will do an additional hit. But the thing is, what do they mean by Kazimierz operator? Is it like their alliance is Kazimierz, like no here? Or do they just have to be like born? Because like Flametail, she's from like the Pioneer Silver Chest Night Club technically, but she is born in like Kazimierz. So Kazimierz as in, what do they mean by Kazimierz? Think what I mean. I'll probably have to play around with this. Yes. But probably means it probably means this they mean Kazimierz if I have to guess, but you know, I'm still not too sure. I'll probably know like immediately when I start playing with her. But yeah, and then so second talent is that her attacks ignore 20% of defense. So yeah, that's that. So okay. So I'll talk about like the thing is about the first talent is that the second talent, the defense doesn't matter. It doesn't synergize with the first talent because the first talent do true damage, which is good because actually overall it will do more damage. But the thing is, it doesn't help. So if anything, I probably honestly prefer this or like increasing attack or the damage it deals after I don't know what, because like Flametail's one, the first talent, after evading the next attack hit twice or something like that. Maybe that will be better. I don't know. Just ignoring defense, even though like she does true damage for both the talent as well as the skill tree. This is honestly weird, but it helps the other 2 skills, that's for sure. Or whenever the skill is active, that's for sure. But okay, I guess. But move on. So I move on to the skills. So skill 1, expand the attack range by this one tile, and increase the attack as well as attack speed. Which I guess it's good consistent damage. It's a good buff to consistent damage. It's the whole reason why like Suzerain is used. But at the same time, if your other skills overshadow the skill, it doesn't really matter, I guess per se. It's more like kind of like a difference, I guess. A difference between consistent and burst. Because skill 2 and skill 3 are both like burst damage, whereas skill 1 is consistent damage. It's the same as Ash. If I'm Ash, the skill 1 is consistent damage, whereas skill 2 is skill 2 and 3 is burst damage. It's kind of the same with them. Just that the thing is the burst damage is a lot more higher than the consistent damage that she will do. So to be outright honest, I mean the skill 1 is still very usable in general content. Thing is the playstyle between the skill 1 and the skill 2 and skill 3 is very different when you're using her. So that's something to really consider, I guess. But yeah, it's very different, the playstyle. So yeah, it's by no means a bad skill if anything, because the way I like to use the Dreadnought Guards. The Dreadnought Guards. It's actually kind of how like to solo extra damage, either filtering or like extra damage to like solo down or enemies faster. So yeah, I kind of like to use them as like placing them in front of my defenders, in front of the defenders, so that actually they can deal damage to operators that the defenders will block, whilst also blocking one like filtering one out. Because of their high health, they can actually generally survive hits very well from a single enemy. While there's any ranged enemies, they'll usually suffer. The Dreadnought Guards will usually suffer, or there's arts damage. Because they have no arts resistance. Stuff like that. It's either that, so actually this skill will actually greatly benefit it. Instead of actually putting her in front of the defender, I can actually put them behind the defender because of this. She'll still be able to attack and stuff like that. Whereas removing the danger that I'll be putting her in instead by putting her behind the defender. And whereas using her instead to catch leaks that the defender will have leaked, perhaps. It's kind of that, I guess. Despite the fact that the extra range may allow her to target like multiple lanes. If the two lanes are only separated by one town only, she can actually cover both lanes, if you get what I mean. Not that it really matters too much for her, since she can only target one enemy at a time, but we get an idea. It may actually help out that way. But I think this skill is more like helps to expand some of the options you have to actually utilize her. Which, like I said, all three of the skills actually placed out is different. That is based on what I can see. Based on what I'm guessing right now, if anything. So I say my friend there for CN did not get her. So yeah. But yeah, and he even spent money. Still didn't get her, but yeah. So this more or less just guess. I will know whether I'm true with that after I get her. But I think I really like infinite duration skills. This is why I like Ash skill 1 a lot. I like Ash skill 1, Ash and Suzuan's skill 1, skill 2 respectively a lot. So I'll probably also quite like this skill 1. I will see how. But as far as I can tell right now, it doesn't seem to be a bad skill, just that the playstyle that it promotes compared to skill 2 and skill 3 is very different. So yeah, I'll move on to skill 2, which is like the bread and butter skill from what I've heard a lot of people. This is the skill that they use like 9 times out of 10, which I guess it makes sense. It makes her more of like an assassin, like phantom stuff like that. Especially the big thing is about the passive, that she does not use the deployment limit, deployment slots, so I want to call them. So she doesn't like use it, so she's like a robot. The robots, she doesn't occupy the deployment limits. So yeah, and then the actual skill, is that after when she's deployed, she gains 120% attack and gains 3 layers of shield. And the shield, if you should know, they can block 1 instance of damage. It's very useful for like bosses. Doesn't matter how much damage how much damage the shield absorbs. You just soak up that 1 instance. Like they can do like what 5k damage. The shield will just only consume 1 shield. Not that the shield has like a fixed health. Get what I mean? It's not like Nightingale's barrier stuff like that. So yeah. After that, she's actually a very very strong assassin. The increased attack, as well as the shooting, as well as the the stunning that she gets when she's deployed, as well as the defense ignoring from her talent too. Because of that, I'm honestly hearing a lot of stories, both from online, from forums like Reddit, stuff like that. That the skill 2 is honestly very very strong. This is where she shines. The amount of damage she can do consistently is very very high. The only thing that I would say, she's kind of like Utage in a sense. Whereas Utage's survivability comes with the fact that she heals whenever she attacks, which is further like help out with her attack speed buff. Nearl has a huge health, as well as the 3 shielding. So only thing that I'll say that really kind of draws back this skill out of all the good things that the skill provides is that whenever the skill ends, she will automatically be retreated, which is after 25 seconds, which is how long the skill lasts, I'm pretty sure, or 27 if you M3 it, she'll automatically be retreated. Whereas like Utage, there's no such thing. Utage will still survive. Utage can still be but I found out I'm not sure whether E2 that will be the case. Probably E2 may affect it if it's like high VCC. But max E1 Utage, there are actually certain times where she cannot kill the enemy within her skill duration. So the fact that Utage doesn't get forcibly retreated, or the fact that she already has survivability by itself, both helps out from her trait, the healing per hit, as well as the talent, which gives her attack speed. Utage can actually survive for quite a long while even after her skill ends. Will actually finish off like the bit of health that she would usually leave the enemy at E1 max before I can actually just retreat her afterwards after she's done the job. Whereas there will be no such case for Nearl Alter. But the thing is, like I said, I don't really quite know like how much that will be a factor, since Nearl Alter's attack is a lot more higher at max E1 compared to Utage. I really don't quite know how that will be a factor, I guess, to be honest. Probably to play around with her more. I'm aware that this skill does good amount of damage every 70 seconds. Because that's how long our deployment time is. So if anything, the second potential might actually be quite good, to be quite honest. Reducing the deployment cooldown for you to utilize the skill 2 more. So yeah, kind of weird, I guess, to be honest, but I will see how. I guess I'll probably have to play around with it first. That's probably one of the first test I'll probably be testing her like against. Who was it again? What's her name? Patriot, I guess. Whether she can survive like the Patriot attacks. He's actually pretty. So this is probably one of the biggest thing. I guess I want to test it out. How much damage she can do against Patriot, and how long she can actually survive against Patriot. So yeah, if anything, I see a lot of potential for skill 2. Just that I don't exactly like to play with fast redeploys in a sense. I'm still trying to learn how to play fast redeploys. After all, right now I'm building up my Kafka, Project Red, as well as Waifu. I'm building out these 3 right now, since 3 of them very different playstyles. But and also J. So right now I'm actually right now playing on with these 4, off and on, because I'm still having an internship right now. Still trying to learn. Trying to learn them for like 5 months already, give or take. Still not sure whether I fully understood to use like fast redeploys. Even though I used Modenta before as like a pseudo fast redeploy, help out with Silverash talent. So like give or take, I guess, but I'll see how first, I guess. But I'm pretty sure skill 2 is the skill that people will use 9-10 out of times. I'll move on to skill 3 right now. So immediately when you trigger the skill, she'll summon a Blazing Sun, which is this thing. I guess I have high health and high defense, I guess. Does it matter with the, okay, it does increase, okay. I have a skill, okay, level. Obviously do that. Within one of the four adjacent towns of her. So either in front, to the side, to the left, to the right, or to behind, directly behind her. Which will do true damage equals to 100% of Nearl's attack to enemies nearby the blazing sun. But the thing is, I don't know whether when nearby do they mean the 4 adjacent tiles or the 8 adjacent tiles to the summonable thing. I don't know yet, but I'll presume it's probably 8. So yeah, and the thing, so it also stun him for the next 3 seconds, which is good. Because, you know, stun is always good. Though there are bosses that is stun immune, but stun is always good. You can offset like store time to actually, because the enemies cannot attack when they stun. You store time to actually let you heal up your wounded operators like your defenders or your guards, or stunning them to actually, you know, offset the attack animation. So certain bosses have like very strong attack every few seconds, which if you like stun them off the attack animation, they will not trigger the attack. Like for example, the bosses for the Mariana event. So yeah, stuff like that. And I'm actually mean the actual Mariana event this time out. The hammer boss and the bow boss. So that's something I guess. So it's also very good. The next part is like okay. So for the next part, it also expands Mariana's attack range to this. From just 2 puny towers to this like mini silverish tower range, I guess, increasing both her attack and defense. And whenever she attacks enemies that's blocked by herself or by the blazing sun, the attacks deal true damage. Do take note. So it's just true damage on top of true damage for this skill. But to take note, there's only attacking enemies that is blocked by her or the blazing sun, which I guess is quite common. The blazing sun has 2 blocks, so it's not the hardest. But so she attacks enemies that is within her range, but she's not currently blocking it. Like for example, you have fast food deployer blocking it maybe, or you know, or they just not blocking, just still walking currently to Nearl. She will be doing physical damage, which is honestly weird. She's only going to be doing true damage, why not just let her true damage all the time, but only let her true damage only when the enemy is being blocked by either herself or the sun, or the blazing sun thing. If anything, I guess it's probably balancing, but I mean, the attack, the physical damage the skill when she was doing with skill tree would still not be anything to scoff at due to the attack buff, as well as the fact of the talent, in those 20% defense. Will still be nothing to scoff at. That's for sure. Just that it'll be less than skill 2, but skill 2 is a lot higher attack increase. So I don't know, to be honest. As far as I'm aware, the skill tree has actually been very. I've seen it in some of the high risk high risk CC clears. People using not Mara, not Alta's skill tree. So that's something I guess. I've seen it. How useful the true damage is you know they just stack like the defense and arch resistant buff on top of them for the enemies. So that's actually very useful if anything. So I've seen somewhat of the potential that the skill tree has. As I don't know how much it will how much the performance will be like on average, or again or with someone with less experience or less big brain than some of the case I've seen. I don't know how it will actually properly work that way. Figure what I mean? I can see the potential, just that I don't know how practical the skill is. But yeah, that's more or less the 2 cents I have about her. As far as I can tell, she's very strong on paper, and like in practice from what I've heard, just that I don't know how filtered, how cherry pick the stuff I've heard online is. How cherry pick the practical results are. That's the only thing I'm saying. I really don't know. Since I don't have my friends from CN to tell me about about them playing her. So yeah. So it's kind of give or take. But as far as I can tell, she'll probably be very strong. I will try to pull for her. Wish me luck for me to actually get her. So I'll move on to right now Flametail, who is a Pioneer Vanguard, which just means that they are Vanguard that can block 2 enemies. So yeah. So the first talent, after evading an attack, the next attack will hit twice and attacks enemies equal to her block count, which is 2 for the most part. I don't think that she is any skills that increase the block count. Nope, I didn't remember wrongly, but yeah. Which I guess it's very beneficial, especially in the early game while you're trying to build up DP, which she does struggle at, since her DP generally is actually quite low. But trying to like generate DP actually would help her out to actually help to clear out some of the mobs so she can focus your deployment for your other operators. Maybe operators will start off weak like your Suzerain skill 2 or your Taunts, where they actually need to build up the skill, stuff like that. Or even a Lapland. So because of that, it does give you somewhat more leeway to actually set stuff up, I guess. Even though it's heavily RNG because of a second if you're either using like a skill 2 or based on a second talent, it's somewhat RNG based, I guess. But if anything, I can see how much it will help out. How much it will help out in especially like high CC. High CC actually help also like offload some of the pressure, early game pressure off of her. So I can see it. I guess anything, it probably also be good for some of the stuff, some even general content. But yeah, it feels good. It seems good on paper. Just that how practical it is since RNG based, I don't know. Like I said, my friend is probably biased since he hates RNG to the core. As to why he plays gacha games, he lacks the art. That's all I can say. So yeah, I don't quite know yet. As far as I can tell, since there really isn't much showcase for her online, at least from what I can see, and drink some water. So yeah, I really don't quite know how how much of a damage boost the skill 1 actually has on average. But at least as far I can tell, it's a good to have skill, I guess. Good to have talent, I guess. But yeah, and then her talent 2. When deployed, all Kazimier's operators gain physical evasion. Like I said, I don't exactly know what do they mean by Kazimier's operator. Do they mean like operators born from Kazimier's? In case it'll be good, because otherwise, if it's like based on what they align with, she doesn't gain the evasion. she herself doesn't gain the evasion boost. But if that's the case, very very weird to be quite honest. But yeah, I guess so. I really hope it based on their birthplace. What they mean by Kazimier's operators, but I'll know when I get Mariano. Not Mariano. I'll know when I get an altar, I guess. So I'll move on to the skills. So skill 1, immediately gain 6 deployment points, and whenever automatically triggered, and evade the next physical attack. So like you gain I'm not exactly sure what that means. Whether is it capped at like 1 counter, or can she actually stack like the evasion counter? Can she actually stack it, or does it only affect once? That will probably be something I will want to like test out. It's something that I can probably easily test out in like Annihilation. Anything else, I will probably see that. I'll probably try it out in Annihilation, see how it works. Don't know if I remember to tell you about it. I will tell you about it. If I don't, you can try it out yourself, I guess. When you get her eventually upon trying to get no. Or you can be like me, getting 2 copies of Dust but no copies of Saga. I tried pulling for Saga. But you get the idea, I guess. But yeah, it's a good introductory skill for you to actually learn more about like the talent. Learn how her talent actually works, stuff like that, and about evasion. I guess will be a good, since it's guaranteed evasion. But I guess it will be a good skill to teach about evasion. But anything else, it's quite a bad skill to be honest. If you ask me, honestly, it's quite a bad skill. Otherwise, and then skill 2, which I say the only thing drawing it back is the fact that it cannot hold charges. But other than that, it's actually a very very good skill. So the skill, you immediately gain 12 DP, and then deal physical damage 2 times to at most 6 nearby enemies and stun them for 0.5 seconds. So unlike like Texas, we'll actually be properly stunning them in place. We'll be stunning them briefly, which should honestly be, so it's really not of like crowd control. It doesn't really feel more like crowd control at all. It really feels more like you're trying to offset like some of the certain attacks and stuff like that. So it's really more, I feel like resetting the attacks of the boss, of the enemies, or anything else. Which still isn't bad. If anything, you stunning for the extra 0.5 seconds may actually help Flametail to survive one more hit or stuff, or maybe your operators to charge up the next hit. Maybe the extra like 1 second, 1 or 2 seconds that the 0.5 seconds stun will bring might really actually do it. You don't know. I haven't used it yet. And my friend utterly doesn't want, and the friend that actually got her the base CNs utterly doesn't want to use her because of how RNG focused she is. But yeah. So the other additional buff that she grants is that allied units within this range will gain 45% physical evasion, which give or take can be quite good, like I said, to be honest, especially in the early game, where you may actually struggle with DP, since especially I said she doesn't really give much DP per second. You may actually struggle. That actually giving both herself and the other operators some extra stability with evasion might actually help you to actually like delay long enough for you to actually have enough DP to like deploy your medics and stuff like that to actually properly help out with the survivability. And even in the later games, when especially against like some of the harder bosses, not harder, the tougher enemies or even bosses, the fact that she can help them evade the attacks from those enemies and helping them survive longer might actually honestly be very beneficial, not including the stun as well, like I said. Because certain bosses may have like additional stronger attack, like I said before, the hammer bro or the bow boss from the Mariano event, it would actually help them out to reset the strong attack. If anything, I can tell this skill actually is very strong. It is very strong for utility focus. Is it strong, like actually strong? Maybe not so much, I guess. It's strong in its utility. It's strong in utility, but like mastery, like stunning for a long time, like Texas one just for stun 3 seconds. Not really, I guess, to be honest. Yeah, I guess I can see. If anything, I actually do see a reason to actually you getting M3 since you gain 1 DP. I heard the fact that the initial SP is not greedy, but it's increased by quite a fair bit. Instead getting more dodge, but I would say it's probably quite low priority to to getting mastery. But like I said, if you feel like you may need the extra 1 DP for per activation, you might consider M3ing her, even though it's probably not worth it, to be honest. But yeah, give or take. Skill 3. She'll gradually gain 8 DP while the skill is active, and also greatly reduce her attack interval, and increasing her attack. No, I don't mind closing the door. Oh no, she does have a skill that increases block count. Okay, never mind. Increase her block count by 1, as well as increasing her physical and RC evasion. If anything, this is honestly kind of like the deal with a lot of skill trees I've seen for Vanguards. Like some example is like Siege, or even Bagpipe. The skill, even Saga, the skill tree basically makes them like the strongest of all. Make basically for a fixed amount of time makes them into like a duelist Vanguard. Not duelist Vanguard, duelist guard. Anything else? Actually, they go hold themselves toe to toe against like the tougher enemies. The skill honestly is kind of it. So honestly, she's following the trend. So having greatly increased attack and even reduced attack interval. So actually helping out. Another thing is that the block count increase and evasion helps to trigger her skill talent 1. Where after she evades, she gains the next attack hits twice and hits multiple enemies, equal to the block count, which the block count increasing. So basically kind of makes her into like a pseudo AoE guard, I guess, to be honest, with greatly reduced attack interval. Anything, I don't know how practical this skill is, because I do know like Saga's talent that gives her evasion, like evasion and health regen, like once per deployment, is really helps out with her survivability. I don't know how much Flametail's skill tree actually helps out with her survivability in the long run. You get what I mean? Especially since it only lasts for 8 seconds. I really don't know how well this fits in. Like I said also, because there really isn't much like talk about it online as well. It honestly feels very weird. Honestly feels very weird. I really won't know until I borrow her for friend support, since I don't think I plan to E2 her. Or honest, I haven't E2 any of my vanguards. So I don't think I plan to E2 anytime too soon. So I'll probably try play out the skill tree with fan supports, but yeah, I'll see how I guess. But either way, I think I can see the niches for Flametail. Just that I really don't think like she'll be very. I don't think she'll be as like as what I say meta defining as like Saga or Bagpipe will be. But I can see the niches that she may fill in that the others may not fill in. And so like she'll be able to survive hits that they won't be able to survive by dodging the hits, if you get what I mean. So yeah, it's kind of that I guess, but I don't think she doesn't look like a bad operator by any means. Move on to Colosseum. I don't know how to pronounce his name. We just call him Cole-kun. Or Mr. Cole or something like that, I don't know. So she's a he's a blaster caster. So the same as Ifrit's Archetype. Yeah, they just do true AoE damage in a very long range, this range. Which I'm pretty sure they only gain the extra tower at E1. So yeah. So as far as I can tell, his attack is his damage is considerably lower than Ifrit, to be quite honest. But I guess he's somewhat of a good like poor man's Ifrit. For honestly think about it, he is a decent poor man Ifrit, I guess. But yeah, not decent. He's a poor man Ifrit, I guess. But yeah. So yeah. So I guess I'll talk about his talent first. After not attacking for 4 seconds, increase the SP recovery rate, which I guess is useful. Especially since that his skills actually does have a decent downtime per se, like 30 and 40 seconds is a decent one, so it does help him to actually get his skills up like in between waves faster. It ensures that he will get his skills by the next wave during in between waves, but I guess that's it. It's honestly not really that good of a talent, I guess, to be honest. If anything, I would honestly prefer him to actually have like a tank buffing talent or anything else. I attack buffing talent, or maybe a more utility focused talent. I don't know, maybe give like I don't know. Because of that, I don't really see it's kind of like a wasted potential for the talent, I guess. So yeah, it's kind of give or take. I mean, it's better than nothing, I guess. Because I say it helps to ensure that he will get the skill up by the next wave. But yeah. Moving on, I guess I'll talk about the skill. His first skill. Greatly increases his attack for 30 seconds, but after the skill ends, he is stunned for 10 seconds. It may not be the worst, like I say, if he can properly ensure he clears out the wave first. before he gets stunned. Just that most often than not, like the downtime in between waves doesn't last 10 seconds. Nowhere near 10 seconds. It's greatly shorter than 10 seconds. So that's that, I guess, to be all honest. I mean, I guess if you actually know how to time with it, and you're actually okay with him having some downtime, is in your other operators can actually still handle the waves even while he's down. Like how people have been doing with Army SQ2 already, first place. The attack buff is honestly very high. It actually helps to put his damage DPS actually some was decently close to Ifrit's. So guess it's not bad, just that how do I say, I don't really see myself using the skill 1 because of the stunning. But yeah, I guess it's not bad. I guess it's not bad if you know what you're doing. And then skill 2 buffs his attack by a quite considerable amount, and attack silence the targets for 3.5 seconds afterwards. Yeah, and the skill can be manually deactivated. I'll say this will be the general skill that people use for it. Attack buff is always good because his attack is actually quite low. But the silencing, I guess, is good on certain maps. But nowadays, honestly, a lot of the enemies are actually silent immune. So it really doesn't really help too much per se. I mean, there are other saving ways that it can be manually deactivated. So it can actually help to you have to wait for the full 25 seconds. Actually, you can like preemptively start him charging up the skill. So it's by no means bad, I guess. It's some disappointing because I feel like he could have become a lot more stronger. So it's by no means bad. I don't think he's by any means bad. Just somewhat disappointing because I feel like he's a lot more potential than this. But yeah. So moving on. So he has more or less like Kozu, I guess. Feels like he has a lot more potential, but probably decent. I'll probably get a lot of copies of him from pulling the banner. So I will give him a try. But yeah, I don't think I'll use him much after trying him out after getting max trust on him. I don't think I'll see myself using him too much afterwards. But yeah, move on to the limited signal operators that is on lower chances here. W and Osmosis. So I'll talk about W first. Because me and W honestly goes back a long way. Because W was actually the one who kind of hold me in and grip me onto Arknights, to be honest. Other than the IS1, W was the other factor, since it was after W's battle that I actually started playing Arknights more and more. If anything else, because after replacing Grey with W, my clears with in Arknights actually went a lot more smoother. Because of that, I was getting a lot more confident myself and a lot less frustrated. Because before then, I always struggled with the stages, both with DP costs as well as like the damage not having high enough. I constantly feel like I was very inadequate at that point of time, I believe. Because I constantly have to like level my operators higher than the recommended operator levels of the stages itself. Of anything, yeah. Jimmy and W actually goes back a long way. She's honestly grown a lot on me, same as how AI has over the years. Now almost 2 years already. Both of them has honestly grown a lot on me. So yeah, I'm actually quite excited for her art. I'm not sure whether the recording actually properly show it. No, it doesn't show the explosion. Kind of sad. But yeah. I'm still somewhat excited for the art, the live 2D. I'm pretty sure the skin is also getting a live 2D. Not long in the recent live stream, they did show it, but I'm not too sure. But yeah. So yeah, I just move on to W right now. He's a AOE sniper, artilleryman is the called. He just does splash damage, attacks. So her first talent, after 10 seconds of deployment, she'll gain arts and physical evasion as well as reduced taunt level, which I has found to be quite very useful in a lot of cases. Not so much on the taunt level decrease, but more the dodge. It's kind of like because I deploy my defenders last to take advantage of the fact that the enemies will target the last deployed enemies first. Because of that, I've always been using W as more of like a pseudo lightning rod, like a lightning rod for attacks before I properly set up due to the evasion, which help gives her a lot more survivability. So I actually don't really need to heal as much. If you get what I mean. So because of that, the medic that I use, which was most often they're not silence, can can actually focus on healing the Vanguard, which was actually tanking the melee attacks instead of having to split both of them. So yeah, I've honestly liked the first talent a lot. So if anything else, so it's kind of that, I guess. To be honest, I don't really have much else to say to be honest, but yeah, the physics and ass dodge has honestly helped me out on multiple occasions. So yeah, I guess I'll talk about the second talent, where stun enemies within her attack range receive extra physical damage. I guess I should probably say something about I'm not too sure how accurate it is, but from one effort, based on how the damage is applied in Arknights, the stunning from her skills is actually applied before the damage. So like the skill damage from the skill 1, for example, will actually gain the bonus from the second talent. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but if that is the case, wow. If that is the case, it basically means that she will do a lot of damage. So yeah, I mean, good, I guess. I haven't played much with E2 W. Just even my W right now is still E1. Pretty sure she's E1 level 64. So yeah, this is stats more or less. Though she has 200 extra 100 attack. But yeah, give or take. So I'm not exactly sure how high the attack is, especially since there really isn't much like W showcases out there. To be alright honest, the only one I could probably see was like for the CC, I think. The one with who was it? The one with Faust. I forget what the stage is called already, or which CC you want, but pretty sure there's people who use that one. You just stockpile all the enemies in front of the blue box and they use W to finish it off. So I guess that's something. And they do big damage there, but yeah. No, it's kind of weird, I guess. Don't really quite know how big her damage is, but from what I've heard, it's very high. I should probably honestly E2 her. Just yeah, I never talk about those module. I'll talk about it last, I guess, since I forgot. I don't really quite know, but I'll give or take, I guess. Yeah, I should probably honestly E2 her. I honestly probably should, but really don't feel the motivation to do that, to grind out the stuff to do that. To be very honest, but yeah, I should honestly probably E2 her. Yeah, I'll see first. I'll move on to the skills. So immediately fires a grenade or shot, call it, which deals reduce a big amount of physical damage, as well as stunning the targets that is hit by the grenade or shot, call it. Good first skill, to be honest. It's a good immediate crowd control, cause the other two skills is more of a delayed explosion. So this is very good. Like anything, kind of found skill to be better. Yeah, I'll talk about it. But skill 1, I say is actually quite a good first skill. And skill 2, but if you want like immediate exposure, immediate damage, skill 2 does kind of do that as well. So the next attack will actually change to her planting a landmine or bomb, call it. So I'm pretty sure it's this one. But yeah, on a tower that's within her attack range, it only lasts for 120 seconds. So there is a time limit. After the time limit expires, of it not even if it's not triggered, it will expire the landmine. So the landmine will trigger when if any enemies walk within the 9 tiles that it occupies and around it, dealing physical damage as well as stunning. The thing is, so to say, skill 1 is immediate, but skill 2 is also somewhat immediate. Immediately after it deploys, it can be immediately triggered, and W will also prioritize on tiles that enemies are occupying as well. And based on my own experience, could be wrong, I don't know, because I don't exactly know the exact code, but based on my experience, she does prioritize tiles with enemies on it already. But the thing is, there is still like an animation, like an animation of the landmine actually being triggered before the explosion actually happens. So if your stunning needs more delicate timing, and for example trying to stun the hammer boss to prevent his charge up attack, skill 2 might not exactly be a good skill for you to use that. If anything, that's the case, skill 1 might be better. Skill 1 will actually be better as like an immediate stunning. So, but if anything, skill 2 is actually very good. I don't know whether, I'm pretty sure I said it in one other video before. I've kind of felt it was kind of like wasted per se, because Arknights actually said enemy spawns in waves. Like in between waves, I honestly feel it was wasted, because back then I mainly use skills as like kind of like a panic button. I don't actually properly calculate look at the enemies and time stuff like that. But because of that, I've honestly cleared a lot of waves of like enemies without actually activating any skills at all. So back then I felt it was kind of a waste. Like in between waves, there's nothing to do. Skills is only fully charge up. This one actually, her skill actually kind of helps me fill up the gap as well. Like seeing her deploying damage in between waves, only for the enemies when they're spawning in the next wave to actually just trigger and just immediately die from the landmines, was honestly satisfying. I know I'm not exactly playing it as intended, the game, but since I'm very stringent with my skill activations before, back in the days, but can't fault me, I guess. I'm also quite stringent and stingy even in real life, to be honest. Even to myself, honestly, I rarely ever treat myself, but you know, it's kind of that, I guess. I've really honestly liked her skill 2 a lot. The skill 2 has honestly been with me like through thick and thin, and I'm pretty sure W is actually the first 6-star I bought for IS. I'm pretty sure that's the case. She's actually the first 6-star I actually brought into IS, which is honestly a big achievement, because I'm pretty sure the second one was Silver Ash, and the third one was Aya Freya, Aya Fajera, or Aya people just call it Aya. And I'm pretty sure I brought Aya as the last few ones. I'm pretty sure, and those are the only 3 6-stars I ever brought into IS. So yeah, was honestly very useful for bringing W that one I brought W. I cleared quite a lot of stages. I'm pretty sure I got to chapter 4 which is actually the furthest I ever got to. Was it chapter 3? I got to chapter 3, yeah. Chapter 3, which is the furthest I got to. I usually die in chapter 2. I haven't built up a lot. Back then, my opportunities were great, not built up at all. Even my 3 stars, they were not max trust at all. Back then, my higher trust 3 star, I'm pretty sure was found at like 155%. I have not had any of them with like max trust at all. Only ones I max trust were for my main squad. So yeah, W skill 2 honestly greatly helped me out in IS. I want to say a very fond memories of W skill 2. So I'm honestly kind of biased, but I want to say really like skill 2. The stunning isn't long, which it doesn't matter. It's really more for there to like store the enemy or like store the enemy. And it's good physical damage. I admit it's probably not a very strong skill, because there's a lot of things you cannot. There are a lot of things that's limiting. Like even for stun duration, it's greatly lower than either of the 2 skills. Just the fact you can't control stuff, whether you can't control where it's deployed, while there's no enemies in range, or you can't like properly time. It will just get triggered whenever the time is up. So yeah, I know it's not a very strong skill technically, but I really like the skill. I have very fond memories of skill 2. So yeah, skill 3. This is the only skill I've seen people use for showcases of W. So M1 is actually very beneficial for her, since she actually gains an extra bomb, which greatly increases her attack, her damage potential, her damage. So she'll plant bombs on targets with the highest HP within her attack range, and the bombs will explode after a delay, which I'm pretty sure is 3 seconds or is it 4? I can't remember. It's like 3 or 4 seconds. And each of them will actually deal physical damage to all nearby enemies, as well as stunning them for the 4 seconds. And like I said, the stun happens first before the damage. So they will gain the damage buff from the skill from talent 2. The thing is, the damage actually stack. So like an enemy that's within the range of all 4 bombs will actually receive the 4 instances of damage instantly, which can honestly melt through the HP like butter. Melt through the HP instantly deleting it. Like I said, the CC that I saw, the high risk CC, the armored guys that they were like blocking, they lost like a fair, like more than 2/3 of their health with just 1 skill activation. I'm pretty sure they were not even M3 back then. I'm pretty sure the guy actually mentioned that his W skill tree was not M3. So yeah, I mean it was not mass risk either by themselves, but yeah, skill tree actually does great damage, very high damage. Then it's really more I have to say about the W does. It's really more of an entire kit. Damage and stunning. I mean, so it's just burst damage and stunning. I mean, I guess you want to talk about it. The skill, you can probably pair up like her with Ash skill 2 to greatly increase the damage that Ash will do. Get something you can do, I guess, or use project rate to actually help boost the damage that W will do for like 1 or 2 hits, or Texas as well. You take advantage of the extra stun damage. That's something you can do, I guess, but really? But yeah, I have honestly very fun memories of W. Yeah, there's more about it, I guess. Move on to Rospontis. I've been talking for an hour already. Oh well. Rospontis. She's a bombardier or flinger archetype, I guess. I guess that's it. I don't know. I believe they used to call bombardier, but now they're called flingers apparently. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Anything like that. So yeah, So their attacks will do physical damage to ground enemies twice, with the second like splash being half damage. Do take note that they cannot attack air enemies. I guess it's why something to take note. They cannot attack air enemies. I had a very rude awakening with that when I was trust farming her in Annihilation 1. But yeah. So let's talk about her talents, I guess. Her talent just outright. First talent, her attacks just outright ignore defense, which is very good. It's a fixed amount of defense. It's just very good. This increasing the damage that she can do. And then when deployed, gain gain attack increase to both herself as well as a random deployed caster. But the thing, if I'm pretty sure from what I've seen, you actually need the caster to be around. So when you just deploy her, she won't gain the attack increase. She only gain the attack increase only if there's either there's a caster already when she's deployed, or when you deploy another caster after her. But from what I've heard, if you retreat the caster, it actually works that way. Like you treat the caster and then redeploy another caster, she'll give the attack buff to the other caster and then gain back the attack increase. From what I've heard. I don't know. I haven't eaten my Mosmontis either. Not W. I haven't eaten my Mosmontis either. Pretty sure she's the same level as W at level 64. Was it 62? I think she's at 62 and 64. But yeah. So a very good talent for anything else. Further increasing her this already quite decent attack. And on top of the fact that she already ignores defense, helps further increase her damage by a lot. So yeah, that's kind of it. I'll move on to her skill 1, which I've honestly, and it's honestly not as strong as I initially thought it was, because when I was initially trust farming her, I was trust farming her with Aketo. So playing around and trust farming her, I originally did it while I was also building up my Aketo. So it honestly isn't as strong as I thought it was, because I didn't realize I had Aketo there to like buff out to like reduce the downtime of the skill. Oh, that's kind of something, I guess. So yeah. I mean it could be kind of like what is it, enemy dependent, I guess. I mean generally the damage will only be really higher, but for example they have really high defense, like I don't know, like grade A defense but have like E resistance. I guess this skill you'll probably deal more damage with this skill than skill 2 or skill 3. Maybe, I don't know. But it really isn't that strong, I guess. But how the skill works is that the next attack, when the skill is charged up, it will actually do 3 instances of damage. So it will do one instant damage of full physical damage, second instance of half physical damage, as well as a third instance of the full boosted arts damage. And this is based on my understanding, which is actually quite decent to be honest. Which I guess it's actually quite a decent skill if you have like a way to actually like charge up the skill more. I guess maybe Saga. We'll talk about Saga, like maybe Saga, Lixam, Warfarin, Aketo, or Chen, like Guard Chen. If like any way to actually help boost up actually the downtime in between the skills. It actually does seem to actually be quite a very strong skill. After I've kind of done it myself, I put her skill 1 together with Aketo, Chen, and Warfarin. Just that all of them were E1, so it's probably also not a full display of it, but I've seen it. and use her as like a sole DPS, actually does quite considerably amount of damage to well. She does a good considerable amount of damage with just a skill 1. So yeah, the only thing I guess you shouldn't really sleep on it. Guess I mean, it's a very good skill for AFK strats, I guess, if you want to think about it. But yeah, it's honestly quite a very strong skill. Move on, but it shouldn't be a skill you focus on, I guess. I move on to skill 2. And the only thing, attack interval is increased, which is not good since her attack interval is already quite low, quite decently long. I mean, it's not as long as like Artilleryman's W, which is 2.8, or even like Colosseum's 2.9. Oh, give me a moment. And then that is automatically on. Not sure if you guys can see or not, but I can see on my end. But yeah, that's something I guess you may want to take note of. It's not that high, but it's still somewhat decently high compared to like maybe Flametail's attack or Nearl's attack interval. Yeah. But yeah, increase her attack and increase the splash radius of the attacks, and the attacks cause an additional two shockwaves. Alright. So let's see. So on top of how the attacks will work is that you'll do the first damage, the first shockwave. After that, does the second shockwave, with half damage. A third shockwave, where it's also be half damage of the first shockwave, as well as a fourth shockwave that is half of the initial. Yeah, so basically aftershocks, they say, will be doing half the damage of the shock or the first shockwave. Yeah, can also kind of think about it. It's honestly very strong, the damage that she deals, as well as the fact that the enemies hit by the attack will have a 20% chance to be stunned for 1.1 seconds. And the thing is, there is 4 chances per hit that you have, the 4 chances per attack you have. So if the first one doesn't stun, you still have the second one that will stun, the third one that will stun, and then the fourth one that will stun. So it's actually not really like 20%, it's somewhat higher. I think it's about like half, I think 40% or half like that, chance of the enemies actually being stunned, just with rank 7. Or just being stunned. Or if anything, I'm probably biased, because it's kind of I believe I've been quite lucky with the stuns, but when I needed it, I got the stun once when Fang was dying, so I just Fang survived. And I got a stun where she stunned 6 enemies all at once. Just one attack. So I'm pretty sure my chance is kind of skewed, because I also had one occurrence where throughout the entire skill duration she did not stun anyone at all. I also had luck like that, but yeah, if anything, the stun is useful. Instead, it's RNG based, so you shouldn't focus on it. Anything focus on the damage. The damage is very very high. Because you're doing 4 instances of damage, even though yes, 3 of them is half. But you're gaining the attack buff, as well as the defense ignoring. So damage is actually honestly still very very high. Even against bosses, like for example, if I tried it with who was it? Frost Nova. Actually just one attack actually do like 1/6 of her 1/6 or 1/5 of her health. And I'm pretty sure back then she was way lower level of E1. But that was the chapter 4 Frost Nova, not the chapter 6 Frost Nova. So maybe there's a difference in stats as well. I haven't bothered checking. But yeah, skill 2 just by herself surely does very high damage per hit. Just that her DPS isn't really increased by too much because of the increased attack interval. So that is something, I guess. But if anything, Rosmonte skill 2 is only very strong for general content. Skill 3. You reduce her attack level increasing, as well as increasing her attack by even more than skill 2, as well as allowing her to target two enemies simultaneously. But however, she can only attack block enemies, so it's kind of like far too skill 2. And upon skill activation, immediately deploy 2 tactical gears on melee towers within attack range, which they will stun nearby enemies, as well as inflicting a defense debuff on them, which I'm pretty sure is not increased with mastery. Okay. How do I say? It's kind of, so I can tell the utility that the skill actually provides is actually very good because of how bulky the gears are from what I've seen. Though they're not as bulky as the rising stun from what I can tell. Yeah. But you get 2 instead of 1. Yeah. That it's kind of a thing about it. I guess you need to know when to activate it and know how to like set up around it, because as I said, like it prevents when it makes sure that you only target block enemies. And if the enemy is stunned, they are not blocked. Guess you didn't know that. Is it? I don't quite remember, but I don't quite remember like how stunning and blocking works together. But yeah, at least from what I've seen, someone has done like a ultra buff Rosmontis against Patriot. It's quite interesting to see actually, seeing just how melting it. But so yeah, the damage that the damage potential that skill 3 actually does have is very high, both for the attack interval reduction as well as the increased attack, as well as the fact that she can target 2 targets simultaneously. So if both targets are actually together, they'll actually receive the damage they actually receive the damage from both the attacks together. Kinda like W skill 3, if you remember about it. So yeah, damage potential on the skill 3 is actually very high, just that you need to really set up around it. You really need to set up because she can only target block enemies. It's kind of the only thing that kind of pulls like limits the skill, from as far as I can tell. Another thing is that the extremely long downtime, the SP cost, it's kind of so it's like all the people I've seen online that will talk about Rosmontis, or they show like clears, like some of the like general clears they did with Rosmontis. They don't use skill 3, they only ever use skill 2. It's kind of that, I guess. I guess I've also somewhat played around with it. I have played around with Rosmontis skill 3. I really can't seem to figure out how to utilize skill 3 for the life of me. But yeah, I'm not too sure about it. I guess I'll see about it, but yeah, it's kind of that, I guess. I guess I'll kind of just do like I'll talk about the modules now. I guess I haven't talked about the modules. So the module, I honestly do not know what it does. I honestly did not know what it does, but as you guys have probably seen our show history, I searched up the modules. So yeah, I searched out what the module does. So if the transition is correct, it increased the damage that she does to block enemies to 115%. It's honestly useful. This is further increasing her attack because that's all that she really does. DPS. That's really all she does. So actually further increasing her DPS, very good. But yeah, though it's a good thing that it's not like non-defense or anything like that. Otherwise, skill 3 really isn't. It will be kind of wasted on skill 3. Just a flat damage increase, which is good. So yeah, I'll move on to W. Those two thing is, even though it doesn't say it's here, the module actually increases damage to block enemies by 100 to 110%. So the extra 10% damage to block enemies. It's good, I guess, to be honest. It's good. Just that, at least based on my use, I W rarely ever, because I'm using skill 2, W rarely ever blocks enemies. So if anything, the module will affect more of skill 1 and skill 3. So that's something, I guess. Give or take. I guess it's not a bad module, like increasing her damage. It's kind of just that the other modules that Arknights got, the ignore 100 defense, I feel like that probably would have benefited W more in general. But in terms of like talking about skill 3 damage, this one module is better. So yeah, I think that's really just about it. I have to talk about the module. They just increase their already high damage even more. It's really what the module does. But yeah, I guess I'll move. Alright, wrap things up, I guess. The outer damage, that's all really you're using her for. Either good consistent damage, good burst damage, or good true burst damage, or good burst true damage, with a hint of stun. I mean, actually skill 2 this does stun with the talent, but yeah, this is really more like good consistent damage, good physical burst damage, good burst true damage. Yeah, put it that way kind of sounds funny, but yeah. See, skill 1, good introductory to dodge. Nothing really else. Pretty much her bread and butter skill. Pretty much her general skill, not bread and butter. Her general skill to use. Decent amount of DP generation. Good damage with stunning, so to offset the attacks, as well as dodge and giving dodge to allies and herself. Skill 3 basically helps to make her like a guard. Helps to make her into a pseudo AoE guard. Stronger pseudo AoE guard, I guess. That is RNG based. I put it that way. Yeah. Conversion skill 1, very strong attack buff. If you know how to time it and know what you're doing. Skill 2 will be the more general skill to use. Good, decent attack buff, just that silence is kind of unnecessary, kind of power crap nowadays. Saving grace that the skill can be manually deactivated, so allowing you to actually charge up the skill faster. So actually help you to manage your skill rotation better. W, very strong, very high damage. Skill 2 more of damage where she can build up on the map itself. Or skill 3 very good burst damage, and if any enemy somehow doesn't die from it, they are stunned for 4 seconds, allowing your operators to actually help to follow up with her burst damage. Osmosis. Skill 1 is good for AFK strat and the additional art damage where her other skills otherwise doesn't provide. Extra instance of art damage can be beneficial on certain enemies. Just that, not much. Skill 2, very high damage as well as a very good chance of stun, even though it is still RNG based, so you're possible still that you don't get any stun at all, or get all the stun in the world. Skill 3 has very high damage potential, but the caveat of her only attacking block enemies is something you would need to plan around or set up around. So yeah, overall, a must-pull banner. Do I really need to say? Overall, this banner is a must-pull banner. Just that from what I've known, you're only getting like a 4% chance to get like W and Osmosis, so unless you have 300 pulls to save up to get the PT system, don't expect to get W or Osmosis. I guess that's something you guys will need to think of. So yeah, this has been Dogcesy, and I'm going to go buy dinner right now. I've been talking for over an hour. Yeah. Alright. Bye bye. Gonna go buy dinner now. Probably just fried rice.